Hello, I'm James Hier and welcome to Marketing Dividends, where each week we explore marketing's new and expanded contribution to company growth. This week I'm joined by Mark Lollback, Chief Marketing Officer at McDonald's. Welcome, Mark.
Hi James, how are you?
Very well. Mark, how is marketing contributing to growth at McDonald's?
Great question, James. Look, maybe first of all it's worth understanding marketing at McDonald's, because I know every organisation's a little bit different. For us, marketing absolutely is the marketing team, so the normal brand team. It also is consumer insights and business analytics. It's innovation and menu, critical part of our business, obviously being a food business. The menu strategy is critical to our growth. And then there's digital and media. So if you take that combined group, that's how we look upon the marketing department and therefore the resources we have to contribute to the company's growth. So that's more of a definition. Then if you look at that team, I think it's pretty clear the amount of resource that that group has, and I think the responsibility they have on behalf of the total McDonald's system here to invest that money, drive activities, to deliver sustained and real growth for the business.
And what is this expanded team doing differently to their counterparts 5-10 years ago?
I think the really big difference is we're trying to move away from, using some simple language, from just being busy to being much more strategic. I think in a daily sales business, we often refer to ourselves as a retail business. You can get caught up with just being busy. We've done that, we've tried that, and actually last year I think I nearly blew the joint up with just about how busy we were. What we realised is actually to have the sustained growth that people are expecting to come out of the strategies from our department, there need to be bigger, bolder initiatives that genuinely have an impact over time, not just filling a window in the calendar.
Sustainable growth feels like something that would mean evolving your marketing department in the future. What do you see as marketing's new role?
As I said, I don't know if it's a new role or it's just a more complex role. There's no doubt with the complexity in channels, the diversity of media, and the intensity of competition, every day is new and different and challenging, and certainly, I think the world continues to evolve. I would say to my team regularly, to be successful in this even more complicated world, the craft of marketing, and in the true sense of being absolutely consumer-centric, focused on real insight, turning that insight into a competitive advantage in a way and a strategy, and then executing in our business. Execution is everything. That is probably more important than ever. So not just busy, we need to be craftsmen again. And I think maybe some of us have forgotten that marketing is a craft, it's not a science. And it's the attention to every time we do it. We've just run Monopoly. We've just run the most successful Monopoly. I think I was in Chicago a couple of weeks ago, almost being recognized as one of the most successful in the world at the moment. And it's down to the craft. Everything about that promotion was crafted to the nth detail. I think that's what it's about. We can do things, or we can do them really, really well.
You've talked about moving away from lots of campaign noise to a more strategic range of choices for the brand. What does this mean from a marketing perspective? It's
probably two key components. The first component is internally, we in the marketing department are absolutely moving away from what I call a marketing-led plan, where we would almost operate that separate to the rest of the business, to what we're now calling a business plan that is being marketing-led. I know it sounds like a nuance, but actually what it does is it connects the whole business back together. So rather than us, in McDonald's we use the term tactical plan. So we'd almost lay down a tactical plan and go hard at it. And every 4 to 6 weeks there'd be something happening. In addition to that, in the other part of the business there'd be other activities happening, but they weren't joined. So we weren't getting the benefit of actually deployment and executing at the same time against a combined agenda. And the other thing, in these really tough times, what we're finding, we weren't therefore getting the whole energy of the business together. Yes, you're not getting that amplification. Now that it's a business-led plan, the marketing is driving the thought leadership behind it, we're seeing a much more integrated business. To give you, for example, we're in the middle of refreshing some of our restaurants. So rather than that being a menu-heavy agenda, it is a fully combined agenda. So it involves technology, it involves menu, it involves redesigning the restaurants, we're redesigning the playland. So from a holistic point of view, we're going to get a much bigger return. We have a passion in our business called doing things that is a consumer noticeable change. Yeah, okay, so busy, our old days, we'd be busy. We'd do tactics and we'd do new burgers and we'd run promotions and we'd do all of that stuff. It's nice, it's noise. That's all it is. It doesn't actually deliver anything except a 2 or 3 window of growth. So we had a business that was basically spiking, okay? And what we've tried to do is reset that and say, no, what would the world look like if what we deployed and did as a company delivered sustained growth over 2 or 3 years' time?
This idea of breaking the business, did you take that noise and work out where diminishing returns kicked in? How much noise can you actually generate before it doesn't work anymore?
Yeah, we did actually. I mean, the great thing about McDonald's is we have a massive amount of data. I know every big company does, but we've got over 900 restaurants feeding sales in by the minute across our business, so we know exactly what's going on. We're in a very fortunate position that when we do launch a campaign, we literally know within 3 days. So unlike my FMCG days where you would luckily find out maybe in 3 months if you're lucky, we know within days whether the campaign's working. And what we saw was that our peak was about week 3, and then things would die pretty quickly on just a normal campaign. So you multiply that over by 52 weeks, the number of campaigns you have to put into the field to have an impact is just not sustainable. That's what I mean by I nearly broke the system. Because once you know that fact, you can't sit back and run a 6-week campaign, knowing that actually it's going to only survive 3 weeks, because then weeks 4 and 5, everybody's on the phone saying, what the hell is going on? You know, you've got to lift sales. So that's the driver behind change, is how do we put things in that build, that you can invest in, that actually deliver growth in week 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, not just in very short bursts, which is a bit of a drug of QSR.
And is this part of the change that's expanded the remit of marketing at McDonald's?
Yeah, I think, yeah, absolutely. As I said, now when we're having conversations, there's 2 things that I think we've been able to elevate that now cross all conversations in the business. And one is putting the consumer at the center of our business. And I know as a marketeer, everybody was probably going, well, we all do that. I think we all do it, and a few of us live it. And I think in McDonald's, even for us, and we serve, gosh, over 1 million customers a day, we probably weren't as customer-centered as we needed to be. We serve a lot of customers, we weren't probably putting them at the center of our decision-making processes. And the other is the restaurant, funny enough. We even occasionally use language like store. And it's not what it is. At the end of the day, when you go back to our heartland, and I think whenever a business is challenged, one of the best things to do is to go back to your roots. What are you? At the end of the day, strip all the crap back. What are you? At the end of the day, what we were was a fantastic restaurant business that was passionate about delivering a great service and great products to our customer. When you get back to that, it all falls into place. And that's what we've been able to achieve.
When high-frequency, data-rich service firms talk about their consumer engagement, it's primarily a digital one, where your engagement, it's an experience-led business. How do you get involved with this wave of customer centricity without the data that they have about each customer?
It's funny, we are a physical, more of a physical brand experience, there's no doubt, because people have to come to our restaurant, unless you happen to live in 10 of our test stores where we're doing home delivery at the moment, but most of the people have to come into our restaurant. Interestingly, we've done a lot of research around trying to create some insights that will drive real change for us as a business. And one of the ones linked to this topic was around our customers and whether they feel valued or not. And interestingly, even our loyal customers who come to us very, very regularly will say to us they don't feel valued. So we're trying to unpeel that onion. And what we're getting to is actually we need to make them feel more valued in the restaurant, and we need technology to do that. And actually, if we want them to feel valued, we need technology to help them feel still part of our business and part of our family outside the restaurant. So actually, technology for us is going to become a critical enabler to take that relationship with our customer from a physical into a much more sustainable or expanded connection than what we have today.
Feels like a fundamental change from a campaign-led, more tactical approach to a longer-term, always-on communication liaison with your customer.
Totally.
Is this something that's going to change the structure of your teams?
Yeah, in many, many ways. At the end of the day, I don't want to call them loyalty programs, because I think what we will be launching very shortly is actually a club called My Maccas, which will tackle this issue. So if you choose to become a club member and download the app, My Macca's app, you'll be able to do many things. First of all, you'll be able to do ordering on your mobile. So you'll actually be able to sit down in your own time and create your own favorite lists or orders, or create your own, add pickles, take pickles off, do whatever you want to do. So you'll be able to do that. In addition to that, built into that will be a reward program. So if you're a regular user of McCafe, we'll know that when it's your 5th coffee or whatever, how to service you without you having to ask or carry a silly piece of cardboard around to get a free coffee. But it also, because we want to make it a club, we also want to make it a surprise and delight mechanism. So without you even doing anything or having to come into our restaurant, we will be able to offer you rewards, incentives, prizes for just being a member of My Macca's. So again, that, if you think of that as a platform, underpinning that is a massive CRM platform, database management, digital management, and even if I talk about digital management for a second, we'll be moving our restaurants even into the digital realm around kiosks and around digital menu boards. Again, that's a totally new content mechanism for us. So for us, digital is going to be massive. We're building up our digital capabilities significantly at the moment. And that will be quite transformational, I think, for this whole concept of better serving and treating our customers in a much more valued way.
Some of the changes you're talking about on not just the restructure of your marketing team, but it feels like the restructuring of a restaurant business, being able to sit down, make my own menu. How is marketing affecting the rest of the business?
You're spot on, James. So, for example, for us to remain relevant as a brand and to continue in this pretty dynamic category of food or informal eating out, there's going to be massive, I think, transformation. For example, we've actually just opened 2 weeks ago, and this is where marketing and the business can get together. One of the things that we've set up is what I would call innovation labs. One of the advantages of being McDonald's is obviously we own restaurants. And so unlike FMCG, which might take a little bit longer, we can physically get in and test stuff out. So rather than deploying across 900 restaurants, we've just opened a restaurant, for example, in Castle Hill. And it's a learning lab. And it is almost everything we've dreamed of as a marketing team and as a company that we would want to change, that would make people go, oh my God, I would never expect that from McDonald's. We're putting into that restaurant. And it's live. And it touches on what you talk about. So consumers walk into that restaurant and it looks slightly different. When they get inside, there's big digital kiosks that enable them to serve themselves. Not only serve themselves, under a new platform we're launching called Create Your Taste, you can actually build your own gourmet burger. Choose the bun, choose the patty, you can choose any of the fillings, choose from a range of cheeses, choose from a range of sauces and condiments. And interesting, excitingly for McDonald's, not only can you pay there, but you can also nominate where you're going to sit and actually go and sit down and take your ticket and the meal will be brought to you. So it's made fresh for you, exactly to your specifications, extra guacamole, not corn chips or not, you name it, and then brought to your table. So that's, I think, what's making it pretty exciting at the moment at McDonald's.
So what intrigues me, Mark, is how you determined what to put into these concept stores, your test and learn labs. And I say that because historically McDonald's has had a very strong link between sales outcomes and marketing activity. So to build this sustainable growth that you're talking about, what have you done?
It's a really interesting question. Again, one of the things we started with is, if we look back on our history, and Australia, McDonald's in Australia has got a fantastic history for being innovative and delivering big noticeable changes that delivered sustained growth for the business. So we went back and said, we've got the DNA. We as McDonald's and as a business, we know how to do this. We probably stopped leading. We probably stopped being big and bold enough. And we probably stopped really saying, you know what, we're going to go after 3 or 4 things, but they're going to be sequenced and they're going to build off each other to deliver a total change for the customer versus trying to come up with just ad hoc small projects. That's probably the single biggest change. So what we then did was quite easy, was to sit down and say, where are we challenged as a business today? And we're very clear on that. What were the consumer barriers? What were the consumer opportunities that we weren't delivering on? And if we started with a blank sheet of paper today and truly took those challenges on, how would we want to redefine the business? And that's where we started. And out of that analytical process, we identified 3 or 4 major projects that we knew that if we deployed them system-wide across the whole restaurant, so it's not just a menu board activity, and sequence them in the right way, if we made them relevant and consumer noticeable change, and I keep using that language, but it's really important because we can do a lot of stuff that the consumer doesn't notice, a lot of stuff. And we get all excited about it, and we love the ad, and we love the point of sale, and it's all really cool stuff. The consumer doesn't give two hoots. Yeah, it's when they notice it and it's relevant, and we've seen it. So that's what we're going after.
Can you give us an example of a business problem that's been thrown at marketing to solve in the last 12 months?
Yeah, sure. Wow, there's quite a few of them. I would say the biggest one that we've been challenged with is just the intensity of competition and the impact that's had on our business. Food's dynamic. It's a great, fantastic category, but it's always on the change, and we're being nibbled at the edges everywhere. So for a brand like McDonald's, we're challenged as the marketing department to say, where do we go, where are the food trends going, how are we going to relate and react to this new competitive intensity that I don't think we've ever seen before.
How have you seen marketing's remit expanded beyond what we would have seen previously?
There's no doubt today that the marketing department, as I described it earlier, is responsible for what I would call thought leadership. More than ever, it's not about just the marketing plan. It's about actually how do we elevate the conversation to a business plan, and how do we integrate the whole company aligned behind the one agenda to have what we call consumer noticeable impact in the restaurants and therefore on our business results.
You've told us what marketing means at McDonald's, and that feels like a change from what we knew previously. There's been a lot of discussion on this. Do you think marketing needs a rebrand?
I think it depends on what organisation you're in. I think if marketing today is credible and has a seat at the table, and particularly at the C-suite, and it is seen as driving the business, no. If you're anywhere but there, absolutely. I think if you're running a marketing department in an organisation that couldn't tick those boxes, I would be wanting to rebrand, reposition, and create enough energy and space for the marketing department to have a real presence, probably more than ever.
We've been talking a lot about ROI, growth, intrinsically linking marketing to sales. But let's talk a little bit about what we'd call soft metrics and company or brand purpose. How do you determine the weight of what your company's purpose is and what your sales outcomes are for next quarter?
They're probably actually really linked at the end of the day. If we had to distill our brand purpose, or we call it our brand ambition, down, for us there's three buckets: good food, good people, and good neighbour. So why I say they're very much linked is we know that if we do a really good job on the food and we continue to improve and renovate the food and the menu and the experience, we'll get rewarded. We also are the single largest employer of youth in Australia. So we know that when we treat our people well, we give them opportunities, we help coach them, we make them passionate about food, that our business will grow. And the last one is neighbour. And interesting, I know a lot of companies are talking about the impact of sustainability, communities, charities. Community and neighbourhood have been critical to us. At the end of the day, we're 900 restaurants in neighbourhoods. And McDonald's, from its DNA, from its first inception, was very much about a local restaurant. We're a franchise business, so a lot of our restaurants are owned by local families living in local suburbs, servicing the communities of those areas. So we know that if we deliver on all three of those, we will deliver a better return on investment for everybody. We know we'll deliver more growth, but it's absolutely rooted back into what is our purpose as a business.
Thank you for joining us, Mark.
Thank you, James. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here today. Thanks for the opportunity.
And thank you for joining us on Marketing Dividends.